$130 piece of plastic. Are you kidding me? That was the son of a bitch. Okay, welcome back to another day, another dollar of Project Super Jank. I got the cold that's been going around. I spiked the fever this morning. I just took Tylenol. But we're back up here in the shop. Hallelujah, I guess. For another day, another dollar. And today is the day I hope we can finally crank the jank. So I looked up. We got to do a couple more things to check things out and replace some parts that could be keeping us from getting spark. We are not getting any communication out of the distributor at all. It is no spark. Period. It's just no spark. So we got a couple other things we're going to replace and test. So we got ourselves the inertia control module. We got ourselves the kind of hall sensor kind of thing. That is actually the camshaft sensor that goes on the back of the distributor. And of course we have crank position sensor as well too. We got all those three parts. We're going to go ahead and replace them. And we're going to see if we can finally crank the jank. But here's an important topic I want to cover about DIY automotive projects. And this is something important that needs to be covered here. On this channel, we're all about practical DIY to save you money. That is the key thing. So you're not taken to a shop to spend thousands of dollars on and spending thousands of dollars yourself and all of your time to do it. So we're going to cover the simple things and simple testing that saves you money. If the truck still does not start, that means that it's a much more serious issue. Something like PCM went out, something serious inside of the engine. At that point, this is no longer DIY. This is no longer practical DIY, I should say. At that point, you have to truly decide and decide for yourselves, where is your cutoff point? Is your cutoff point to have the truck forever and you're going to do whatever it takes? Or is your cutoff point to save money? Building a DIY project can be like gambling a lot of times. A lot of times you just want to get that win. You want to show it who's boss. But you'll never see your money back again. Your money can be used for something better, and I don't want to promote that for you guys, and I don't want to show you guys that this is the way to do it, because it's not. You have to know your cutoff. So let's see if we can do it. Okay, well, we got you guys fired up here on the GoPro as well. Now you're fired up on the GoPro. Good. All right, well, let's go ahead. We're going to remove our ignition control module. That's going to be the first thing we're going to change. So last night, what I did is I retested it, and it doesn't seem like we're getting continuity. I think either we didn't test it correctly or something, or just in the stress of restarting, it burned out. Who knows? Or we don't have it grounded correctly because we used dielectric instead of thermal paste, which is actually what this comes with. This is silicone-based thermal paste. This is what comes with the new one. Maybe it's not grounding correctly. It's very possible. Anyway, we're going to just go ahead and replace it, get it done. We can check it off the list and make sure that this guy right here is not the cause of our problem. We are not getting anything out of the coil. We're not getting anything out of the distributor. We're getting no spark at all, period. There's no spark, nothing. So we're getting fuel. Fuel is coming. So injectors are grounding, they're working. We are not getting spark. So this is one possibility. It's a little rare for these to go out, but they do go out. It's just a little cheap piece of plastic. $130, not cheap, but in terms of construction, it's very cheap. It's just a chip in plastic. That's it. The other thing is that pickup or camshaft sensor, which is a hall sensor kind of thing, that pickup sensor, pickup coil, whatever it's called. There's a few different names. It's a camshaft position sensor. That's the one where the skirt spins around, and you got those cutout windows, and it senses where the camshaft is located, and it does drive the computer system to drive spark. The other possibility is the crankshaft position sensor. Could be bad. We got one of those. The other thing, of course, is knock sensor and the ESC that it's attached to, which is under the PCM. The ESC and the knock sensor, they read your timing all the way back. Now, because we were basically dieseling, I'm sure it pulled back timing and maybe it freaked out, maybe it fried, maybe it needs to be reset. Who knows? That's another real possibility too. And that could be keeping our timing so reduced back that it's not sparking at all. That's another key possibility, and that's going to be way over there on the other side of the engine, on that side over there. That's over by our PCM. So now let's go ahead and just pull off our ignition control module. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of the likely main causes. I hope so. we'll see. We'll replace it and find out what happens. That's all we can do. We're going to replace this first and put stuff back just real quick just to test it. And that's it. And then we're going to move on to the next thing. Going to need a universal joint here. We'll make this bend over here. Make sure I'm locking in on top of that screw very well. There we go. Okay, so we are spinning. That's good. All right, let's loosen up this guy here. And we'll take the rest off by hand. There we go. All right, good. Now, the new one does not come with replacement hardware. So do not drop your hardware. So we're going to have to be very, very cautious how we do this here. You're going to have to somehow keep a hold of this guy. Make sure we don't drop it. Now, of course, you could take off the whole bracket again. That's a huge pain in the butt, and I really don't want to be doing that. We may have to. We may not. We'll see what happens. But for now, I'm just going to try to keep a hold of these screws. Pray to God I don't drop them. So we're going to try this first. We'll put the intake manifold or the intake tubing back on, connect all the sensors, and let's just see if that's going to solve it. And if that solves it, we're good. If not, we'll go on further. I have a feeling that it's likely a cause, but I also somehow have a weird feeling that we're going to be still not able to start the truck at all, which may be that little stupid camshaft sensor over there too, because that got damaged more than likely when the original cap and rotor fell apart. There we go. Get that guy off. Now this will fall off too, so be careful not to lose this. But this is kind of stuck on with that dielectric at least. It's holding it in place. All right, let's get this off. Let's clean it. We'll clean off our contact surface there. All right. Also have I'm going to put that little copper wire here to do the copper wire trick. So we can go ahead and line up our screw holes. Keep it off the side here. And what we're going to do is we're going to hang it with the top one first. And then that way we'll position everything for us. And then we can go ahead and get the bottom one in there as well. This is a silicone-based thermal paste. So that was one of the questions we had. Is it dielectric or is it thermal paste? And it looks like, per instructions, it is actually a thermal paste. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply this to here. Apply it to the heatsink. Because also, keep in mind that your ignition control module has to ground to this thing. And not just that too, but it also grounds your injectors as well too. We'll squeeze a whole lot out of this guy. There we go. And then we're going to use our copper wire here to realign our screw holes. And we're not fighting to find where the threading goes. Okay, there we go. We got that guy aligned. Good. Make sure the top one is aligned. Spin it around to make sure everything is lined up fully so the screw just goes right in. I dropped it, of course. Why the hell not? Okay, let me go get it. All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and get her lined up there. So we got our top screw hole here lined up. Good. Now we can go ahead and get this guy lined up in there. And kind of smush her onto the thermal paste. There we go. Gonna leave this in there until we can get the screw at hand. There we go, make sure she stays lined up there. Okay, remove this slowly here. Get our screw lined up in there. And of course it's slid again, so we don't find the hole. Damn shit. Alright, there we go. We'll screw her in, but not tighten down all the way yet. Yeah, we're still recording good. Alright, here we go. Let's get this guy lined up in there. Let's see. Aha, there we go. Alright, now we got this lined up. Spin her around so everything lines up exactly. Alright, let's get the bottom one in there. There we go. Get it lined up. Thread. Okay, good. Fingers here. Now it says the torque specs here are 8 foot-pounds. Just in case you're worried about torque specs, but really, you don't want to over-tighten it because you don't want to crush and damage the plastic here. All you want it to do is just make good contact, and that's it. We're just going to kind of feel it out. About right there. Good. And we need this kind of universal here to Get around this damn tubing, which is right in the way for the AC unit. Right there. Good. Up here a little. Good. Okay, that's it. Okay. Now, next step is going to be, well, we got to plug her all back in. Just going to get the dielectric compounds here. Got her here. Good. This burst in my pocket somehow. Yes, it did. That's why my pocket's all greasy. Good thing I'm wearing a Carhartt. All right, let's do it. Got to get this guy lined back up again. Let's put a little extra there, because now there's nothing in the new one. Make sure we line up all our pins. Should they actually lock in there where they should? And you don't want to force it. You want to line it in and make sure it goes in naturally. You don't want to jam and force it because you don't want to bend your pins now after all this. Okay, now we're going to put our coil back on. So that locks in. Good. Make sure back here she's latched in there good. Yeah, she is, because we took that off yesterday to test. And we weren't getting any spark coming out. Okay. If nothing else, at least we know that this is brand new now. All right, good. There we go. Okay. Whew, that hurts my back to be bent over like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our intake back on, because we're going to need that on there to be able to test run the engine and make sure that she runs and sparks. And alternatively, what we can do before we do all that is we can actually just test to see if we're getting any spark. And that should be a little bit easier and quicker. In fact, we can pull the fuel pump relay so we're not filling the cylinders up with fuel again. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll ground out the spark plug wire on cylinder number 1. And let's see if we're generating any sort of spark, and then that will tell us if we're going the right direction. Before we put the intake on, because then we're going to have to take the intake off again, crawl in the back, take the cap off again to get to the other sensor, and that'll be the next thing. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's ground it and make sure we have spark. Okay, so here we go. This is the system we're going to use here. So I've got it connected, of course, to cylinder number 1's spark plug cable there, and I got a piece of wood there to isolate it from any metal. We're connected to the spark plug number 1, actually on its actual spark plug over here, and we're basically running a test light in series. I'll place you guys here so you can go ahead and monitor on the camera and see while I'm cranking, see if we have any light. Because obviously if there's any spark energy, it should be coming and it should light this guy up. Otherwise, we ain't getting no spark energy still, and we have to move on to the next thing. I don't have a lot of high hopes. I think it's still not going to work. I think it's something else wrong. But let's test it and see. I'm going to go ahead and pull the fuse pump relay again, like you guys saw yesterday. And we'll go ahead and just crank it so we're not filling our cylinder full of gas, and see if we get any sort of spark energy. That's the main thing right now to see. Everything works, we'll put it back together, we'll crank start it for real, and then we're good to go. If not, well, we got to move on to the next thing. So let's do it. So watch that guy right here. We should see this thing blinking every time it gets spark. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. Let's crank it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Holy shit! Okay, well that answered my question really quickly. Whatever gas was left in the cylinders, because I pulled the damn thing out, that little $130 piece of plastic. You're about to give up on a project and say, that's it, throwing you away in the... Well, let's put it back together. That was, wow, I had no faith that that would work. I had zero faith that that would work. Zero. Row Z. What in the low-key, I'm actually kind of happy because I really didn't want to have to get rid of it, but I didn't want to pump more money into it. Well, let's put it back together. All right, building montage. here we go. Let's crank the jank for real this time. And then we'll put everything bounced back with all the wiring and everything, and we'll be calling it good, I guess. Whew, stinky. All right, so quick update. I was able to get it to start and run very roughly. It's like loping very badly, not maintaining good, idle and everything. I had to like keep it on with the gas just like when it was dying. But it's working now at least. But now I was able to get it to run long enough to throw a code. So now this gives us a better idea where to look next. So the code in this case is a 1351. Ignition control circuit, voltage high. Ignition control circuit, open. But it's telling me a 3.1 liter, which is just not it. Why is it not communicating with the thing here? Hold on. So that gives us at least some idea, but it's saying 1998 3.1 liter. This is not a 3.1 liter. Something is off here. I'm going to try this again, but that gives us at least an idea. I'm going to try with this Innova one more time, because somehow it's not reading from there. Maybe the ECU is not working properly. But it did fire. It fired and ran with me giving it throttle. So we are getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere at least. The race was successful. No DTCs. Okay, let's go ahead and try cranking it again. See if we can throw a code. See how it's running like that? Boom, 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 boom. So she really does want to crank, but something is off either in timing or in the ignition circuit. So let's see if we can get her to run to throw a code again. See how rough she's running? I have to give her gas to run. As soon as I let off the gas, she wants to die. Yeah, it sounds like a cylinder ain't firing or something. Something ain't firing, right? Let's see, maybe it clears off. Let's see, can we get her to throw a code again? It sounds like it's misfiring. Yeah, it's got to misfire again for sure. Wait, let's see. Put us off the gas now. Is she clearing? She's evening out. Maybe not. Maybe. Yeah, something is off with the timing or something. She's lumping. But she's smoothing out a little bit. She's running rough. She's running real rough. Something is causing it to surge a little bit here. Something is off. Yeah, she ain't running right. Feels like it's misfiring somehow. Yeah, we got low vacuum pressure there. Yeah, we got a misfire somewhere. But she's holding idle. My foot is off the gas right now. Ain't that something? Yeah, she's missing somewhere. She's missing a beat.
Oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go.
Woo-wee. You can see the stank in the air, man. Whew. Let me get to the light here so you guys can see my face. Oh, you can see all the unburnt smoke in the air. So I finally got her to fire, like I mentioned on the GoPro, finally got her to run and actually hold idle on her own without me giving it gas, without, throttle. It doesn't really give it gas, it gives it throttle, it gives it air. But clearly there's something off with the timing. Timing is not kicking in correctly. But I did finally get it to throw me a code a couple of different times, so it's the consistent same code. A P1351 says high voltage in the ignition circuit, which means something ain't, one, grounded, or two, another sensor, like we thought, potentially the camshaft or the crankshaft position sensor, are faulty. Good thing I bought all those sensors, including the ignition control module. Got all that stuff. We know the coil is good. Coil is another thing that could go off. We got a new one. We know that that one is new, at least, or rebuilt. And we have a new ignition control module. So those two we know are checked off the list. We didn't have spark before, now we got it. Now we have to figure out timing. So unless it physically jumped a tooth on the timing chain, very possible. That's fixable too. That's still kind of within the realm of DIY, so we're still going to push forward with that if that's the case. But more than likely, it's one of those two sensors. I got both of them. We're just going to toss them in straight up. Just go straight to replacing both, not dick around anymore. Let's get this truck firing. Anyway, I got you guys set up here on the GoPro up here. I don't know if you can see a goddamn thing because it's dark. There you go. GoPro up here. Again, we're going to jump in, do the exact same thing that we used to do before. We're going to go up, crawl up into here. We're going to take our cap off. We're going to take the driver's side off only, the wires. We're going to do the same wiring system, the same marking system. Green, yellow, red, purple, front to back. That way we can keep track of which one goes to where. I checked all the wires. I kind of took all the clips off, tracked all the wires, make sure everything on all sides are connected appropriately. They were not crossed over. That's the number one thing. It's a thing, too, that can cause this. Make sure that that's not the case. We're all good. Timing, we know, is good in terms of physically good, at least up here in the cap and rotor. And we know that because we actually checked all that out, right? We did make sure our cylinder is up on compression, on TDC. We made sure that that's oriented in the correct way. That checks out. That aligns with that, and that's pretty good. Makes me less worried that it jumped a tooth. Still possible. Makes me more thinking that it's actually an electronic issue. And now that we're getting a high voltage within the circuit, means the ECU and PCM are reading, but they're not reading a good signal. Likely that, and likely the crank. Whoop, down there. So we're going to just nail them both right now. Bada bing, bada bang. Slam this thing home. Get her cranked. Let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and get our screws off here. Pull the screw off now. I don't like how this light is positioned here. It would be better if it was somehow shining downwards would be better. There we go, like that. Okay, let's see if I can grab the sucker. I can save it. Okay, that's loose now. Good. Gotta get my needle nose here. I'm gonna pull that guy out. I can't get my fingers in there. There you go. Put that off to the side. Now we have some spares in that box that came with the new cap and rotor. We have, I think, one set of spares, which is good. I'll keep those at hand just in case we actually do need them. Let's see, I need to get this hand over here somehow. Can you even see what the hell I'm doing? Kind of. It's kind of a hard spot to show you much of anything because otherwise I have the camera on my face and I can't see either. Well, hopefully I see you guys can. You guys can at least see kind of through the tubing. Hi. You would think with these older trucks, the engine bay would be a lot bigger and easier to work with, but with all these stupid hoses in the way and everything, it's kind of a difficult thing. Let's see if we can orient this guy in such a way, just pull her up and out of the way. Alright, so it is making contact, so we can see some black dust there. You can see right there in the center. So that means it's making contact with the central pole there, that graphite, which is good. So that means it is contacting. We are sparking because clearly it started, so that's good. So we're good on that front. We're doing A-okay there. So now let's go ahead and we got to remove our rotor. And then that's our guy right there. That stupid micker flicker is right here in the back. Let's see if we can just get this guy kind of dropped in the back over here somewhere so we can access things, but keep it out of the way. I think that will work just fine. And now we have battery disconnected, so we should be okay. I don't think we need to disconnect this. I think we'll just disconnect coil anyway, just for safety reasons, because it could still be charged. Who knows what? All right, let's just disconnect that for the time being. All right, now we got to get our cap off. Now these are all T15s so far, which is good. Whoop. There we go. All right, let's get this guy off. All right, let's see if we can get the screw in there. There we go. T15. We're going to try not to lose them if we can avoid it. Better. Okay, good. I'm going to magnetize this a little bit here by just rubbing it on my tray. Because my tray has a big magnet to it. You can also rub it on the base of it. Okay, now the newer one is going to have a little bit of Loctite on it. It's going to give you a little more resistance. But again, just go nice and slow. You don't want to crack stuff. All right, good. Put that off to the side there. gently off, out of the way. All right, so you see this notch right here? That notch is right here. So you see how this has two barbs here? Look at that, right there. And then there's another one on the opposite side of the skirt there. So I'll show you how the new piece looks so you can get an idea. You have to line it up with this hole here. So we're going to have to spin the engine until this lines up with that. And then that way we can actually kind of jiggle wiggle this sucker out. Put the new one in, jiggle wiggle, cinch it down with the new screws, and reattach our connector over here. Now this could clearly go bad anytime. You can see how much corrosion is built up here in the back. You can see how much debris is in there. This will also give us a chance to clear all this debris out of here too. Look, there's even a one of those helicopters stuck in there. So we're gonna have to clear all that shit out. Make sure to preserve our new one, and then we should be good to go at least on here. And then we'll go underside on the front of the engine and get our crank position out. Replace it. You're just going to slam, like I said, both home, put it all back together, crank her up. And if timing is still off, well, then we have a physical timing issue, which that's resolvable, but at least now we know that the truck is worth salvaging now. It's not totally dead, so we're good on that front. That was the main thing right now today. All right, so let's go ahead and do it.
You could do it a couple different ways. Let me get some light on my face here so it's not so dang dark. Dang dark. There you go. So a couple different ways you can do this. We're just going to spin from the crank pulley. That's all we need to do. We just need to rotate the engine ever so slightly. We're going to do this by hand this time because we want to actually get really precisely in position. You're going to spin counter the clock. Counter clock. So that means if you're down here at the 6, you're going to go up towards 1. You're not going to go to the 9, right? From 6 to 1, not to 9. That's clockwise, counterclockwise. You can access your crank pulley and the main bolt over there, either from the top over here, but in order to do that, you're going to have to take your fan shroud off, and of course, you're going to have to detach your fan over here to be able to reach down there and access with a breaker bar. Alternatively, you can come here underside, and you can access it right there, right? Now, you can either take your fan shroud off to use for ratcheting, or a fatter headed breaker bar here, right? That will make it easier to do ratcheting, of course. Now, I don't want to do that. That's an added step I really don't need or want to do. Now, as you saw, we took off our little plastic shroud over there, kind of almost like a skid plate kind of thing, but it's more for aerodynamics. Actually, stay tuned. In later episodes, if we do get the truck to work, we're going to replace that with a DIY homemade out of diamond plate from Johnson's Farm Supply. We're going to go ahead and build our own actual replacement that is a skid plate. But if we take that off, we will have access, because this thing fits right here, right? Covers all this up. We take that off, and we do have access right there. So now how you're going to get in there is use a very low profile one. You see these ones that don't really have a head to them? It's just a bend right there. That's a low profile one. You're going to want to use a shallow socket, and it's going to be a size 16 millimeter socket. Fit it on there, and you'll be able to spin it. Of course, keep in mind, you're going to be spinning against compression. Now, these are low compression engines. It's not that hard, but it's going to give you a little bit of resistance, and every time you kind of get past the cylinder, it's going to boom, let go a little bit and then stop. Don't force it. Just move with gentle, continuous pressure, and you will be able to spin it. These are only 8.3 to 8.5 to 1, brand new. At this mileage, we're lucky with a 7 maybe. But it's going to give you a little resistance, but not by much, and you will be able to rotate it. I already did that a couple times. We were getting close to position, but I want to demonstrate to you guys how to actually do this. All right, now remember, we're going counterclockwise. So you see over here, got my breaker bar. Yep, I'm in frame. I'm going to go ahead and set it in there. Now you're able to get your hand just barely in there. Set her in. Get her lined up with the bolt head there. Make sure she seats in all the way. Now you don't want to round this off. So make sure you're seated all the way flush on there. It's going to take a little bit of maneuvering here until you get it. You can guide it in with your other hand. There we go. Now we're locked in. And you want to keep this pretty straight. And all we're going to do is just gentle pressure, and we're just going to rotate ever so slightly. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use my other hand to make sure I'm staying on the nut itself, on the bolt head. Here we go. Just very, very simple. See, look at that. Look at that. It just goes. Goes, goes, goes. Right about there. All right, let's go check up top and see how we're doing.
All right, look at that. We're dead on. You see how that's lining up there? Right there? Look at that. Perfect alignment right there. Now we can actually wiggle this thing out, and you do have a little bit of play in here. So if you're not 100%, it's okay. It'll give you a little maneuvering room. But now, we've got to pull the screws off somehow. which is one there. And the other one is accessible back over here. Right there. So you got only 2 screws holding this in, even though you have 4 screw holes on this thing. You only have 2 screws? Let me check. Yeah, there's only 2. There's that one. So you got 2 up front. You got kind of 2 locators. And you got 2 Torx bits, screws holding in place there. Now, of course, once we remove this, we're going to go ahead and clean all this off. Get all this debris and junk and everything out of here. Because this helicopter in here, this is the Redneck Fall Series mod. This is perfect for your fall season right there. Thank you, squirrels. Basically 4 holes, but only 2 have screws. The 2 rear ones, the 2 forward ones, fit on kind of a little pole that locates it. And that's it. Now, let's go ahead. Let's find the T size we're going to need. Yeah, T20s. All right, there you go. Let's go ahead and get these guys off. And again, I like to use the screwdriver style one. This way, I don't risk over-torquing anything. Now, fortunately, you don't have to line up any holes or anything to get the screws. The screws are actually accessible. Oh, my foot is cramping. Ow. The screws are actually accessible very easily. Oh, shit. Oh, Charlie horse in my foot. Ow, ow. They're just accessible just past the skirt here. All right, let's do this son of a bitch. Oh, man, it's downpouring outside. I'm so glad I have the shop to work inside of. Because, god dang, this would be a pang in the butt. Pang in the butt, butt in the pang. This is how I do my thing. Sally go up, Sally go down, Sally go. See, look at that. See how slightly it magnetizes? Just enough to grab the sucker. And there you go. Why is it wet over there? That's interesting. All right, now, this guy should. Yeah, there you go. Just wiggle its way out. It'll be helping if I take the harness off, of course. I gotta get the head aligned there. There you go. See how the head comes out? So this has to go between those two. You see how this has that slot in there? It goes between the skirt here, and the skirt has little holes cut into it that tell it, hey, boom, we're here. Oh, we're not. Boom, we're here. Oop, we're not. You know what I mean? So see that? That skirt slides in between. Look at how much debris is in there. All that plastic and dirt and dust. I would not be surprised if this had just absolutely failed. So this is what I was talking about. These 2 holes here. Let me get you on light here, if you can see. Yeah. See these 2 holes here? This is where your screws go. These align with a pole. There's a ovoid pole right here. I'll zoom it in post because the GoPro doesn't like to be brought up close to. Ovoid one here and a circular one. This way you cannot put it in any other direction. It's unidirectional. It only goes in one way and that's it. All right, now that we got this off, let's get some electrical cleaner, a rag, and let's clean up here at the base. We'll get it all cleaned up there. And then we'll go ahead and put the new one in, our rotor back on, cap back on. And again, your rotor, it's pretty nice. Rotor can only go on one way. So you see this curvature back here? That fits with the curvature that's molded into the actual rotor itself. And then your screw holes here will locate it. It only goes one way. Now, I showed you how to get the TDC really quickly just to be sure, but you don't necessarily need to. This will just go in one way, really. It's unidirectional. You could potentially put it on backwards and screw it down. That's very possible. But if you do things carefully and feel your way through, it will only fit one way and it will let you know when it's seated properly. Now, if you have any questions, you can always do like I showed you earlier with the pressure gauge, a stick, water bottle, whatever. I like to use the compression pressure gauge. Make sure you're TDC on compression. And then it will tell you exactly that you should be close to cylinder number 1. Again, cylinder number 1, this is the one you're testing, right? And it'll tell you that you're close to sparking cylinder number 1 off. And that way you know exactly where you need to be. All right, let's do this. So we got this pretty clean. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but don't need to. Just want to get any loose debris and stuff out of there. I like to use this CRC. What is it? There we go. QD electrical cleaner. All right, there, if you guys can see. This stuff is good because it does dry. Now, it does also pool. It is a liquid. It comes out as a liquid and stays a liquid, right? It is quick drying, plastic safe, all that stuff. It doesn't corrode stuff. But, of course, I want to scrub it a little bit. So I scrubbed it with just a screwdriver, kind of stuck in there. Make sure I got up all the loose dirt, mopped up any loose stuff and any loose liquid. You don't want to put stuff back in there wet. Now, even though it's a safe electrical cleaner, you don't want wet components in your ignition system because then it's not going to work. All right. Now here in your Duralast kit comes with the new, they call it pickup coil. It's called pickup coil. It could also be called your camshaft position sensor. It also would be called your hall sensor. There's a few different names depending on the era that you're talking about or part or whatever. But any one of those names will be pretty much the same thing. And it looks exactly like I mentioned before. So if you look here in the new one, you can see how it has that slot there, right? The skirt of this guy, that Lazy Susan, spins around, and it's got certain holes in it. So as it passes through, it says, hey, I'm here. Nope, I'm not. Hey, I'm here. No, I'm not. Hey, I'm here. No, I'm not. And that tells the computer, PCM, where you are in your timing. Obviously, ours is not likely working anymore. So we're going to blow this dry here. There we go. And now in your Duralast kit, you come not just with a new part, but you have a whole fresh set of screws. Clearly, these are more screws than you really need. So, of course, one set is going to go to your pickup coil or your camshaft position sensor. One set will go to your cap, and one set will go to your rotor. So now we have some extra ones just in case, which is good. So now what we're going to do, we got everything dried, make sure it's air dry, not 100% clean, and some of the stuff is stuck on there. Got all the squirrel damage and stuff out of there, the squirrel nuts and everything. And we should be good. I can't really reach in a whole lot of places there, but we got it good enough. Now let's go ahead and seat this new one in. It goes in the exact same way it came out. So before we do that, let's go ahead and fill our socket here with a little bit of dielectric. That way we make sure we got that done, make sure it's filled up enough so it stays watertight. And of course this comes with a brand new weather seal here as well too. Of course not a weather seal for your harness, but here where it goes into the cap, it does have a new weather seal now. So let's see, I had an open one, but I can't reach to it now. Okay, like that. Put this off the side here. All right, let's go ahead and fill this up with some dielectric here, so we can make sure that we have good dry contacts. Wipe any extra. We don't want any of that on our actual sensor part here. Make sure you don't touch the sensor with greasy hands. And it probably won't harm anything, but just you want to eliminate as many problems as you possibly can. All right, now we're just going to seat her in exactly how we took her out. So you're going to go kind of down. Got to seat your guy in there. It's easy to get your head in first if you can. There you go, like something like that. Takes a little maneuvering here. Gotta get past this that part there if we can. See, so we have to get seated into there. Oops, I'm touching that thing. That's not good. All right, there we go. Does it spin a little bit or something about that? Yeah, all right, there we go. Just gotta get her head down in there. There you go. It takes a little wiggling. And there you go. And then you just find your locator pins. It should help you locate it right into its spot there. There you go. Good. All right, now we're seated. Push her down nice and firm. Helps keep her into the spot there. Good. This weather seal needs to actually be tucked into there somewhere. There you go. Make sure your weather seal is tucked in properly. And because this has a little bit of Loctite on there, it's going to take a little more torque to get her in, but again, it should go pretty easily. Now, once we're past the Loctite, much easier to go. So we're good. We're not going to cinch it down all the way yet because we're going to have a little bit of maneuverability to get our back one here, which is going to be a totally blind work to get that one in place there. Okay, let's in the position here. Good. Now, as we get through the Loctite, it's going to feel a little more resistive. And then once we get past the Loctite, it should start going a lot simpler. A lot more easily and less resistive. All right, let's get our connector back in before we forget. Get this cap out of the damn way if we can hold this up out here somewhere. Okay, like that. Let's get our cap in there. Or connector back in there. There you go. Make sure she seats all the way in. Clips on. Good. All right, we good on that front. We Gucci Bucci. This guy is our rotor. We're going to bend this up again just a little bit, make sure it gets good contact so we don't have to take this sucker off again. All right, now I'm going to show you what I mean here, if you can see anything from this angle. There you go, like this. You see how that curvature is there? Look at here. You can see inside the cap here? Look at that curvature. So that is going to align with that. And then, of course, your screw holes and these alignment pegs are going to line up with your screw holes and alignment pegs there. So this is how you could tell that the back goes there. The prong goes opposite of that. Now, as I mentioned, you could always put it on backwards by accident. If you cinch it down, you can force it on in place. That's going to give you totally opposite of what you need. So if you have any questions, just go to top TDC on compression, cylinder number 1. And you know number 1 here, per the manual, it is towards the front of the cap, right? Very, very simple. Then you know that you're aligned in the correct positioning. All right, there we go. Got that guy. Excellent. Now these are T15s. We're going to keep that new hardware for right now, in case we drop this old ones. Good job, Mr. Unk. Mr. Unky Punky. And it's totally blind. You can't see shit. That's okay. Again, make sure you plug it in all the way, as tight as it can go. And if it springs back a little bit, make sure it has no more than a 1/4 inch gap. And have these double clicks, so there's one click, and the second one. Put a little dielectric in there. Alright, still recording. Good. Double click, make sure your seat's in all the way. Good. Alright, last one here. So we can always know our order next time if we have to take them off again. Okay, excellent. All right. I don't think this one's plugged in. There we go, make sure it's plugged in. Okay, good. All right, well, let's do our crank position sensor.
Alrighty, so we're going to crawl underneath now, and the crankshaft position sensor is actually going to be in your front engine cover right behind your main crank pulley. Now, honestly, you don't have to take the main crank pulley off to access it, thank God. It is right here. They just do this for illustration purposes, right? We can see it, actually, and we can access it from behind the crankshaft pulley, behind the front cross member there. That's the guy right there. So this part plugs into there, right behind where the crankshaft pulley is. And this part here is your secure. That's where the bolt goes. So basically just plugs in, harness in there, bada bing, bada bang, shims to keep it proper distance. We're going to match the shims of the old one. And that's pretty straightforward and simple. Now I'm going to show you where it is located and how you can find it. Ours is covered in oil. It's oogie. I do have a big oil leak from the housing of where the oil comes off from the filter to actually going out to the oil cooler. That's a known leak. I've known that for a while. It's gotten worse. That's just a little O-ring. We'll be able to replace that, but it'll be easier to get this on the lift over here to be able to get her up, giggity, versus trying to crawl underneath. But for right now, we're not going to move this thing over to do lift. We're still going to do this the old school DIY way, which means cardboard on the ground, but on concrete. We're going to crawl underneath and get it that way. And then what we're going to do is, remember your front engine cover there has your timing chain, right? Everything is hiding behind there. You're going to have oil in that area. So bring a drip pan with you. Now we're going to try to move kind of quick to swap in and out, bang, bang, so we don't lose too much oil. Even if we lose some, big deal. Right now we're going to go underneath and clean it. But let me show you what this sucker looks like. Here we go. We're underneath the truck. Got drip pan here. I'm going to need that in a second here. We're going to clean off all this oogie googie in this. Okay. So there's your crank pulley, right? Right there. You see that wiring harness hanging out right there? I'll get you zoomed in here if I can. Hold on. You see that harness right there? There it is. So it's right behind the crank pulley, which is right here. So you see, they took it off on the picture on the Haynes manual just to show for clarity. You don't need to. All right, we're going to go behind this cross member here. We're going to go from the back side. So we've got cardboard laid out. And we're going to go underneath there. We're just going to take that bolt off, which is down here in the bottom, disconnect our cable, take the guy out, swap it over, bada bing, bada bang, ain't no thing. We're going to go ahead and degrease it now first, change her out. So let's do it.
All right. Welcome to the third circle of hell. As you can see, we are up underneath the truck. Throw some horns up in the chat if you know how to drag your ass on concrete. Who says I'm ununk and I can't learn from those young kids, right? Except the fact that this isn't a live stream. Maybe I'm more unky than I thought. Anyway, let's get in the position here. All right, we got everything? Yeah, we got everything. Okay, let's get our lights on here. Got to get a little bit further up in there. Okay. I think I passed it. No, it's right here under my head. All right, good. All right, so here's what we got going on. So you see over there, that is your bracket right there. And we got that standard sort of harness, right? Electrical harness. Single tab, lift and wiggle and pull the thing out, right? We'll spray with a little bit of electrical cleaner, clean out the rest. Got it a little bit more cleaned up. Now, you also have a tree-style push harness or push pin that clamps onto your harness here and holds your harness up. You're gonna have to remove that. And then you have an 8mm bolt. We're gonna have our 8mm on. You got 1/4-inch drive here with a wobble end. That way we can make that turn and keep it flush. So then what we're gonna do, we have our new one, of course, at hand over here, right there. Gotta get that pre-opened and ready. Drip pan in place because we will lose oil. Where's the drip pan? All right. Yeah, we got the drip pan. We're gonna put that underneath here because we will lose oil in the process here. And probably that was one of the places it was leaking because after I cleaned it, I could see it seeping back again. So what we gotta do first, we gotta pull that pin, that Christmas tree push pin, get the harness free. We're gonna take our connector off, and then we're gonna back our bolt off. And before we take everything out, we're gonna get our new one prepared and ready, and just plug it in there quick before we lose too much oil. That's gonna be the name of the game. And then we'll bother, once we seat it in, to clean everything. I don't know what kind of shims we're gonna need or not. I don't know if this old one is even shimmed. We'll have to see. I think it might be. So we're just gonna prepare the shims, get everything ready, put it in there, stop the oil leak, cinch it down, and then we'll take care of the rest of the connectors. All right, let's do this thing. Wow, chop up. Go this back up a little bit. All right, so here you go. So the tools, of course, you're gonna need 1/4-inch drive socket, right? Long extension, 8mm on a wobble. Then, of course, you're gonna need some kind of interior trim remover to pop that Christmas tree, either pistol type or not. Knife to open up your packaging because it's sealed, it's electronic, and a flathead screwdriver in case you need it to pry up that tab over there. Go ahead and get our shims here open. These are just on a normal baggie, so these will just open easier. Oh, right there. Shit. All right. I got one. Where'd the other one go? I heard the other one hit the concrete. Oh, there it is. Hit the concrete. I use the magnet to this thing. So it's nice to have a magnet. Yeah. There you go. Got it. All right. Recover that one. Good. Let's go ahead and put this somewhere so we can see what the hell we're doing. See, look at that. See, Volkswagen? A metal oil pan. Haha. Not that bad of an idea. All right, here we go. This thing is what now? What the hell does this thing say? I don't know. We'll read that later. Let's get this off here. Oh, what? Is this something important we have to keep on there? What the hell is this thing? Tag here. What does it say? Do not add these shims. Oh, wait. What is this here? All right. So, instruction: 1 or 2 accompanying shims may be added. Do not add these shims to low mileage vehicles that have not encountered the following situations. Bearing an engine use crankshaft sensor is abnormally worn. Yeah, it's us. Like this wheel move too close to the sensor, actually come into contact with the sensor. Moving the faulty sensor, look for signs of contact. Thing is, cover, correct, misalign, replace it if necessary. When installing a new sensor, use appropriate gauging compound, not included, at the end of the sensor to ensure the minimum air gap of 0.03 inches. If I have that. If next time we install a shim, recheck the gap. So we're gonna need some kind of gapping compound, which I don't have. So we ain't gonna do that. All right, let's just do it the old-fashioned way, which is just guess and check. Hey, hello. Come on, son of a bitch. Is that owl hooting out there? Why is the owl so early? Oh, the owl don't come out till later. So obviously we're gonna have to somehow gauge this thing, which I got the gauge compound, so screw that shit. We ain't gonna do that. Gotta get this guy removed, so that way we can plug it back into the new bracket. If I can get this in the right position here. There we go. Get it in there. Okay, good. Back this thing up. Yeah, there we go. Good. Pulled it out. Bada bing, bada bang. Harbor Frate, by the way, our sponsor, non-sponsor. Fantastic. Thank you, sir. You always do me right. Giggity. All right, now let's back this thing out. Perfect. Easy peasy. Ooh, look at all this crap. That looks pretty clean in there. Okay, good. Let's put this out of the way so we don't get shit in there. There's a bunch of dirt and grime in here. Yikes. All right, Jesus. Cheese and us. Get that sucker up in there. All right, good. Now, you guys can still see what the hell's happening or not? Yeah, you can. I'm right here. Finger. You see my finger? Woo-hoo-hoo. I have to somehow check the camera and also do this damn shit. Okay, so now what we're gonna need to do, we are gonna need to get the oil pan kind of right where you guys are. So I'm gonna move you guys for a quick sec. I want to be an oil pan, baby, so I can catch the grease from a mile away. Bow, 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 bow. Oh, I can't even bend my hand in the right way. There we go. The camera whacked me right in the forehead. Stupid shit. All right. Okay, anybody want to be a cameraman? I'll pay you an apple cake. How about that? I got some fresh baked apple cake and that's good. Tree grown. Yes, check that shit out. You see, Washington is famous for apules. Well, they might be right. All right, so we got our 8 on there, 8 mil. Crack her open. Oh, that feels like it's rounding somehow. That's not good. I hope it's not rounding. Yeah, there we go. Now we're grabbed on there. Good. Okay, now we got it. Yeah, we were rounding it a little bit. See, that's why we need that wobble to make that corner past the steering softener bracket thingy. Which is good for off-roading, but it's kind of right in the way. So you need that little wobble just to make about that, like, 25, 30 degree angle right there. All right, even if we lose a bunch of oil, well, screw it, I guess. I don't know. We need the oil changed anyway. All right, where's the new one? Let's keep that guy in hand right here. So I don't know nothing about no damn gapping. So we're going to stop our capping and don't worry about no gapping. One touch with diamond eyes. You like to hypnotize. I don't really know the lyrics, to be honest. I know some of the lyrics, but I never really paid attention, to be brutally honest. Probably should have brought that magnetic son of a gun over here. That would have helped. There we go. All right, got her. All right, we're going to put that off to the side here. Okay, let's see if we can pull this trucker out. I just got to shoot oil right in my face, I betcha. All right, let's see if we can get this guy. First of all, grab it. It's going to be kind of hard to grab in there. Let's see if we can pull this out here a little. Okay. Let's see if we can get this out. I have to twist a little bit. Okay, let's see, can I pry this guy out? There we go. Now it's free from that part. Let's see, is it gonna come? Yeah, now it comes. Huh? Did it break? Oh, f***er. Oh, well, that's a problem. Well, that would explain some things. Yeah, that's broken. God damn. Okay. How am I gonna get the rest of that bitch out? Okay, how does it look like here? Yeah, that would explain why that's not working. That bitch broke. Can I get it out? Oh, something is coming. Maybe. Well, that would explain some things why this shit ain't working. There we go. Yeah, she's coming. There we go. Okay, let's pull the rest of that head out there. I can grab it. There it is. Okay. Okay, that part is out. I gotta somehow get that cap part out of there, which is where this sensor sits in. And look at this thing. This thing just fragmented to pieces. And it wasn't just because I pulled on it, because that should just come straight out. Well, this could have been the main cause right here. This could have just gone. And that set off the whole chain of events. That'll be. All right, well, at least we know we're tracking somewhere, right? Doesn't look like this is threaded. It looks like it's just pressed in. Let's see if I can get this one out, that is. All right. What's this over here? Is it supposed to spin like that? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe yes. Maybe yes. ABS. Maybe yes. See, guys, this is why I teach critical thinking here. Critical bitching and critical thinking. You have to first bitch very critically, and then you can calm yourself down and think critically. That's the number one rule. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's the entire enchilada here. Ooh, that's worn. Yeah, it's got some wear marks on it. Look at that. Oops. Let me undiddle that. There you go. Oops, that didn't help you guys at all. It's all smudged. Oh, what the hell did that? Oh, welcome to the third circle of my hell. Ah, bitch. All right. Anyway, if you guys haven't figured this out, this video is not meant for children under the age of parental guidance. Whatever that is, I'll let you all determine that. Is not for children under the age of 18. Yeah, I mean, it's not really worn if you look at the original here. So this one, I don't see any shims on it. You can see the core body right here. Look at that. I don't know if it made contact, maybe? Is that what happened? And it shattered. So you can see up in there. See inside there? I'll zoom it in post. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right, so that little plastic thing is basically kind of running with a little bit of spacing to our center head. Is this guy here. All right, so if you look at our new one, see how it looks? That's what it looks like here. So it looks like this didn't have a shim. It just had an O-ring and a sensor head right there. They look about the same, maybe a little bit smaller of a head. But this is the replacement. This looks like a brass. This looks like it's just a steel. Let's see, are they the same diameter? Just about, yeah. Same diameter and everything, good. So you can see the difference there. Brass for the original, steel for the new one. But you can see the big difference is, well, this motherfucker broke. That's the big difference. It totally shattered apart. And it wasn't just because we were prying, because this should not fracture like that. It really should not. That should hold together. This might have broken and started off the chain of events. Because if this is not working, timing is off, which I've noticed the truck was running just a little rough before and progressively getting worse. I thought maybe it was something else. And likely this set off the rest of the chain reaction. This could be why we were skipping. Maybe this was like disconnecting, unconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting. Causing us to drop cylinder number 2 over and over again. Finally started dropping everything sequentially. Then likely this broke finally. Put too much strain on the coil. The coil burned. Then that, or as it was burning and kind of getting strained because it's an old coil. Put too much strain then on the ignition control module, which was starting to go out. And then that probably kicked on the PCM to spin up and drop gears to start spinning up to higher RPM to compensate. And when that happened, that already really worn old cap and rotor had its final go. And when it destroyed, it took out the cam position sensor. It also could be the cam position sensor was perfectly fine. Who knows? Maybe this was the only thing. But that should not have separated like that. That was broken. That was already broken in 3 pieces. Let's see if we can find the rest of them here. So here's the main body here. You can see that's broken here right at the connectors. Nothing was left. And then there was that sensor bit that we just dug out of there. There's that sensor bit that goes inside of the cap. That little steel cap. Look at this. It's totally delaminated here. Totally delaminated. Yeah, so this one was the one that went out first and started the chain reaction. I 100% bet you. And then that, of course, probably started the chain reaction, which burned out the old coil, which then probably was causing a reaction to the control module, which then probably caused the chain reaction to make the PCM overwork the already very worn and very corroded rotor. When that shattered, it probably took out the camshaft sensor. And that's kind of what probably happened. I bet you that was the sequence of events here. I am not 100% sure. I have no way to verify that. But just based on symptoms, based on kind of what I observed, based on what I'm finding now, it seems like it could very well be the case. Look at this. Is a steel plate here. I wonder if that needs to be cleaned to make good contact. Let's make sure we clean this off good. I don't know if it made contact or it just delaminated due to heat and being old. That was the original one. That's been on there for 20, what? This is 1998. So what, like, obviously 25 plus 2, 27 years. Same one that's been on there for 27 years. So clearly it was time for it to go. Uh-oh. Hello? My battery's dying on this thing? Probably. Probably. All right, let's get the new one plugged in there. All right, I have to get this thing jacked up because there's just not enough room for me to rotate. I mean, look at this shit. Bump the camera, whack, hits me right in the eye every single goddamn time. Or like 4 times it did that. I need to have somehow one hand to hold this sucker in place, the other hand to put the nut in there, or the screw in there. Let's see how I'm gonna do this here. Because I need to put it somehow in such a way. Let's see if I can position myself in such a way to actually get it. Get all this junk out of here. This is just in the worst possible spot that they could put this stupid shit at. I don't understand who... Oh, make sure I didn't lose the screw. That's the only screw I got for this one. I don't know whose bright idea was it to design this way. Right now. Alright, so this thing just kind of sits flush up against the... because there's a shoulder there where the O-ring is. Just kind of goes flush up to that. It doesn't actually sit in there, so it doesn't have to sit like the in the transmission, right? It just kind of wedges itself there, and it sits tight up against it. Let's see if I can get this bolt started at least. There we go. This cross threading, I don't want the cross thread. Just grab a thread here, son of a bitch. Did it finally? Yeah, I finally did. I don't know if that's going to seal correctly or not, but we'll see. At least it'll be locked in there. That's what I don't care about right now. Okay, actually, this couldn't turn. Oh, it's actually, yeah, it seals actually pretty tight on there. So once this bracket is tied down, Now that just sits in a brass insert, so you do not want to over torque this either. Okay. Come on, you motherfucker. All right, there you go. All right, good. See our connector here? Looks pretty clean. All right, I brought some dielectric, if I could find where the hell I put it. No, there it is. That's in there. Still filming. That's a lot of shit falling on my face here. Okay, let's go and get this guy plugged in there. I have to get my hand organized in the right way, that is. Alright, let's see if I can get my hand bent in the right way now. So I have to bend my hand in a weird triple digit way now, somehow. There we go. Sure she latches on. Okay, good. We'll put our tree back in here. This thing will dingle dangle around. So that would explain part of it. Not explain all of it, but it'll explain part of it. And then maybe that ignition control module was not grounded all the way down. That could be another possibility. Okay, I don't know about these shims, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's get stuff up out of here. I hope that's the last thing we got to do. So let's go ahead. We'll set her back down on the ground. We'll get this out of here. Get the jack stands out. Set her back down. Test crank it and see what the hell happens, I guess. Let's go. Holy shit balls. We've been wrestling with that son of a bitch for a minute. Man, it is dark in there now. All right, well, let's go ahead and get the thing off. The jack stands, put her back down on the ground, and let's see. Hopefully this is it. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, we finally get it to actually crank up for once, and it seems to hold idle. So let's see. Let's see if we do it, and it runs rough like a cylinder is dropped off, so we're going to have to investigate that next. Let's see if I got my keys. But it does finally start, so ignition is working. But now we have to figure out why is it sounding like a cylinder is dropped. Compression probably. Valves are possible. Maybe I didn't put in a spark plug correct. But she does catch on slowly. Let's see. So she does run and start, but very, very bad. Catches on, but not great. We got more investigation to do. So compression would be the next thing to look at. Well, there you have it, folks. I mean, we at least got the jank to crank. It sounds like a cylinder is still dropped off. That's going to take some more diagnostics. Maybe heads at the most. It sounds like maybe a burnt valve. Very possible because we were dieseling it. That's forcing it, and that would burn up a valve. That's for damn sure. So that's a very real possibility. So we're going to do some more diagnostics. Looks like the jank will stay. We're still going to do the 900. I'm going to get another truck. Might as well. And, oops. Yeah, there we go. And we've got to do the 800, and we got to do Dirty Max. So we got plenty more on the channel, but the jank did crank. At least we can move it the hell out of the shop. But for now, we're going to continue some diagnostic work, and we'll continue the build-up, baby. Woo! So if you've gotten something out of this truck-related content, and you've learned something new about ignition systems, then don't forget to check out this video over here,
to find out more about ignition systems, and don't forget to check out this playlist here to learn more about other types of trucks, including things like power seats, transmissions, tune-ups, you name it. And don't forget to check out the playlist because we got, well, as you can see, well, we got a whole fleet we got to deal with. So don't forget to check it out. I'll see y'all next time.